only on DD India. Hello and welcome. I am Ramesh Ramachandaran. You're watching the continuous coverage here on DD India of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United Arab Emirates. It's just after noon in New Delhi, 10:30 in the morning in Dubai or 6:30 GMT. Over the next 2 hours and more, we'll get you reports from our full complement of reporters on the ground in the UAE. Also, guests would join us to put it all in perspective for you, the viewer, so that you have a better appreciation of India-UAE relations. So whether you are joining us from India or around the world, we have got you covered. Now, it's day 2 of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the UAE. He will very shortly deliver the keynote speech on the concluding day of the World Government Summit in Dubai. Afterwards, he will inaugurate the Abu Dhabi Hindu Temple. It's the first temple in Abu Dhabi. A quick word about the temple. It has been built by the Bocha Sanvasi Sri Akshar Purushottam Swami Narayan Sanstha. The UAE government allocated land for the temple during Prime Minister Modi's visit to the country in 2015. And Modi himself laid the foundation stone of the temple in the year 2018. Now, it's the largest Hindu temple in the whole of West Asia. Now, just to bring you up to speed, yesterday, that is Tuesday, the 13th of February, Prime Minister Modi held talks with the UAE President and spoke at the Ahlan Modi event. He was accorded a ceremonial reception upon his arrival in Abu Dhabi. UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan received him personally at the airport, and immediately thereafter, they sat down for bilateral talks. A number of MOUs were agreed upon, including one on bilateral investment treaty. The UAE will launch India's instant mobile payment system called the Unified Payments Interface. It will also introduce India's RuPay debit and credit cards. Afterwards, Prime Minister Modi took part in the Ahlan Modi event at the Zayed Sports City Stadium in Abu Dhabi. Ahlan means hello in Arabic. He addressed the Indian diaspora there. Now, the UAE is home to 3.5 million strong Indian diaspora. They are the largest ethnic community in the UAE. They account for 35% of the total UAE's population. The Ahlan Modi event showcased India's rich cultural diversity. It featured more than 700 artists. More than 150 Indian community groups took part in it as well. Now, events such as Ahlan Modi have become a hallmark of Prime Minister Modi's foreign tours, from the Madison Square Garden speech in New York City in 2014 to the 2023 speech in Sydney, where Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese gave Modi a rock star welcome, likening him to American rock star Bruce Springsteen. Prime Minister Modi is the boss, Albanese had said, to thunderous applause from a crowd dominated by the Indian diaspora. So that was a quick recap of all that's taken place so far. All right then, let's get started. Wednesday is the third and last day of the World Government Summit, where India is the guest of honor. Now, Prime Minister Modi is set to address the summit in Dubai. This year's World Government Summit from 12th to 14th February has a theme of shaping future governments. It has cast a significant spotlight on artificial intelligence. Global leaders engaged in discussions highlighting its far-reaching impact and the urgent need for effective regulation, ethical design, and adaptation strategies for governments and organizations alike. Panelists from around the world convened to address the crucial issue of embedding trust in the AI data pipeline. Experts delved into the pivotal role of AI in shaping the global economic landscape as well. And leaders discuss about strategies to prepare governments for the impending AI tsunami.
World Government Summit is some kind of a confluence of global leaders. I would say, in general, thought leaders.
Okay.
Whether it is political thought leaders or intellectual thought leaders, technical thought leaders, they all assemble here. The Prime Minister will be the guest of honor on the 14th of this month at the World Government Summit. The last time this honor was bestowed on him was in 2018.
Yes.
And perhaps he's the only world leader who has been guest of honor twice.
In some more news for you, India has secured the prestigious 9th GovTech Prize for its pioneering endeavors in AI-powered government services at the World Government Summit 2024. The annual award is instituted by the UAE government. It is presented to government entities, central or local, worldwide, to recognize creative and innovative solutions. India won under the category of AI-powered government services. The accolade recognizes the remarkable efforts of the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways of the Government of India for its transformative project known as iRaste. iRaste, spelled as IRASTE, is a collaborative initiative involving the government, industry and academia alike. It's revolutionizing road safety through the integration of AI technology. The award was distributed by Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai, and received by Tadu Mamu, the Consul at the Consulate General of India, on India's behalf. Right, moving on, a key highlight of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the UAE would be the inauguration of a Hindu temple in Abu Dhabi, the consecration ceremony of which is underway. The foundation stone of the temple was laid by Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself in 2018. Meghna Dev has more.
In the beautiful desert expanse of Abu Dhabi's Abu Muraikha district is this structure emerging from the sands. This structure is also now being known as the lotus in the desert because it's carved out of pink sandstone. Italian marbles and much more has been carved so that it gets this beautiful shape, and it's a testimony, it's a testament to timeless craftsmanship and obviously the Indian intricacy in terms of art, culture, tradition is all depicted on the walls of this beautiful Babs Hindu temple. I will also take you inside to show you the intricacy of the art that's depicted inside the temples under the 7 spires that make this temple as beautiful as it meets the eye. We are inside the Babs Hindu temple, the highly anticipated temple where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming, and we'll be inaugurating it on 14th of February on his visit to UAE. To show you around, my camera person will pan for you and show you the beautiful visuals of this temple, the height, the depth and the intricacy of the art, craftsmanship, which is a testament to what India has to offer in terms of its crafts, timeless crafts that has been depicted here. We obviously see this beautiful structure. When generally people visit Abu Dhabi, this structure transcends them from the general Abu Dhabi in terms of luxury hotels, racing car arenas and much more, to beautiful spiritual place and everything that depicts Indian craftsmanship, Indian culture, Indian tradition and more. With my colleague Ashwini Mishra and camera person Pramod Negi, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Abu Dhabi.
Now, the magnificent BAPS temple, the largest in West Asia, is now finally ready. It sits like a lotus amidst sand dunes. Meghna Dev spoke to Vishal Patel, a volunteer at the temple. Take a listen.
We are inside the Babs Hindu temple, the highly anticipated temple where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming, and we'll be inaugurating it on 14th of February on his visit to UAE. Vishal, can you talk to us and tell us more on what are the preparations going around, and what we see is such a majestic view of this temple?
The culmination of what we've seen the support that we've been given for this temple to be constructed has been phenomenal. And now we've seen everyone really working hard to see the culmination where our Guru Mahant Sai Maharaj is going to be here, and we're going to be joined by the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. And you can see there's a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement, and we're really proud to showcase the unity between the UAE and India. This is the first stone temple in the whole of the Middle East, and it's the largest temple in Western Asia. So to see such a magnificent temple, when you're really up close, it almost feels like you're actually in India. It's only when you go outside and you see the wider perimeter of the sand dunes and the palm trees, it really hits home that you're actually in the middle of the UAE.
Many people have been telling us that the 7 spires are actually one of the special attractions, we can say, or one of the specialities of this temple. What do you have to say? Because we have been seeing that gods from different parts of India, their idols have been brought in here.
What makes it very unique is the way that it's been constructed. If you look at the 7 shikras that you have here, the 7 spires, they actually pay homage to the UAE. They represent each of the 7 emirates. And that's for us to say thank you to the UAE, which is our home for many, many years, for giving this land. Now, within this temple, what differentiates it from many other temples that you find around the world is the unity and the harmony that you will see. We've got murtis coming from the north, south, east and west. We have murtis coming from Tirupati. So Tirupati Balaji's murti is as authentic because it's been provided by the Tirupati Trust. Similarly, when you go to Puri, the Jagannath Ji murti is coming from Puri itself. So it's as authentic as you would find. So every Indian, every Hindu, and even, well-wishers who want to visit will have a taste of India when they come to this mandir.
Absolutely. So when we call it a spiritual sanctuary, it definitely stands ground on what it is being called. We obviously see this beautiful structure. When generally people visit Abu Dhabi, this structure transcends them from the general Abu Dhabi in terms of luxury hotels, racing car arenas and much more, to beautiful spiritual place and everything that depicts Indian craftsmanship, Indian culture, Indian tradition and more. With my colleague Ashwini Mishra and camera person Pramod Negi, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Abu Dhabi.
All right, let me take a moment to give you, the viewer, an overview of India-UAE relations. Take a look at the graphics coming up on your screens now. India and the UAE enjoy warm, close and multifaceted relations underpinned by strong political linkages. The two countries signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement in February 2022. The two countries are among each other's top trading partners as well. The UAE is among the top 4 investors in India in terms of foreign direct investment in 22-23. About 3.5 million strong and vibrant Indian community forms the largest expat group in the UAE. Prime Minister Modi's visit to the UAE in 2015 marked the beginning of a strategic partnership between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi visited the UAE for the second time in February 2018. India was the guest of honor at the 6th World Governments Summit that year in 2018. Prime Minister Modi's third visit to the UAE was in August of 2019, when he received the UAE's highest award, Order of Zayed, conferred upon him by UAE President in April that year. In February 2022, a virtual summit took place between UAE President and Prime Minister Modi. A comprehensive economic partnership agreement was signed on the occasion between the two leaders. In June 2022, Prime Minister Modi stopped over in Abu Dhabi while returning home from Munich in Germany. Prime Minister Modi visited the UAE to attend the World Climate Action Summit in November last year, that is 2023. The UAE is the second largest export destination of India for the year 2021-2022. India's major export items to the UAE are precious metals, stones, gems and jewelry and minerals. India's major import items from the UAE are petroleum, petroleum products and precious metals. Now, the overall growth in bilateral trade reflects the early gains accruing from the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. In recent years, the Indian Air Force participated in a bilateral exercise with the UAE counterpart in May 2016. The UAE Air Force officers participated as observers in the trilateral air exercise held in March 2018. And last but not the least, an Indian pavilion was set up at the Dubai Air Show as well. Right, joining me is Mr. Shilkant Sharma. Mr. Sharma was India's ambassador to Austria and permanent representative to the UN office in Vienna and the IAEA. He was also the Secretary General of SAARC. He joins us from the New Delhi suburb of Noida. Ambassador Sharma, good morning, should I say good afternoon,
good morning,
and welcome to this special broadcast here on DD India. Glad you could join us. Now, as I said to our viewers a short while ago, we are standing by for the Prime Minister's keynote address to the World Government Summit to take place in Dubai in just a short while from now. But if I were to ask you about day one's engagements, yesterday's engagements of PM Modi, he landed in Abu Dhabi afternoon local time. He was received personally by the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. They held talks, signed MOUs, and later in the evening he addressed the Alan Modi event. How would you describe day one of PM Modi's engagements in the UAE?
Well, you know, day one's meetings of Prime Minister Modi now bear his well-known watermark. You know, when he goes there, he meets the highest dignitaries officially, and then from the high portals of statecraft, he descends down to people and he meets the diaspora. And so here is a head of state or head of government who goes on his visits and meets a whole spectrum. In the very first day, he meets the crown prince and has talks with them, and in Abu Dhabi with the highest level, and then he comes to the Alan Modi show, which is reflective of the kind of warmth and friendship and the people-to-people relationship which has now flourished under his leadership between India and UAE. And so the visuals from yesterday's events are heartwarming. They're uplifting in the sense that you have this delegation level talk and the official paraphernalia, and then he is the leader of the people, because in a democratic country, the leader of the people is most happy and easy and comfortable with his people. So here is Mr. Modi meeting Indian diaspora, talking to children, going to school, and that is his persona, which is now very well known and well admired all over the world, and particularly in places where Indian expat community is in large number. And Abu Dhabi is one of those places. UAE is one of those places where, as you mentioned, 3.5 million Indian expatriates are there. And the reason why he receives that welcome, and the reason why the host state appreciates this, is because our communities there have been contributing to the in a constructive manner to the success of the host country. And the way Abu Dhabi and UAE have come up over the last 3 decades it bears witness to the kind of contributions which Indian expatriates have made. They are the largest in UAE, and this is appreciated by the government and the leadership in UAE. So PM connects with all that. This is the connectivity at the most comprehensive, at the vast level. So we are not only connecting with government and state, but also with people. And yesterday the big event was that UPI card, which was used by the Crown Prince. So they have appreciated the way India has developed this digital public infrastructure, and crores of Indians now use this in their everyday dealings, and it works smoothly. So it has attracted the eyes of the world all over. We are the biggest user of this kind of digital public transactions. So UAE also appreciate that, and they joined with this Indian UPI system, and this was another hallmark of the friendship, because friends appreciate and like and exult over each other's success. So when you are in UAE, the leadership there is happy that India is doing things which are good for its people and which are snatching heights, globally. And that is why at the annual summit, which is starting today, Mr. Modi is the guest of honor.
Indeed.
Because he's regarded as the most acceptable among the leaders in the...
Indeed. Ambassador Sharma, since you refer to the World Government Summit, which is taking place in Dubai, may I for a moment, with your permission, go across to my colleague Dibyendu Mandal, who is standing by very patiently at the venue of the very summit in Dubai. Dibyendu, good to have you join us on this special broadcast. We are told that you are at the venue in Dubai where the World Government Summit is taking place. Today is the last day and PM Modi is scheduled to deliver the keynote speech. Walkers, fill us in on the latest you're picking up. Has PM Modi already arrived at the venue?
Ramesh, we are at the World Government Summit venue in Dubai. And if you can see behind me, I'll just ask my camera person to try and pan and show you. It's totally filled with people that have come here to attend the event from across different parts of the world. It is a 3-day event which is currently underway in Dubai, where deliberations on modern technology, on advanced technologies, sustainability, and other aspects of better governance is underway at this World Government Summit in Dubai. Not just this, Ramesh, the Prime Minister is expected to arrive here very shortly from now, where he will be engaging in multiple discussions and deliberations of bilaterals with the leadership of Madagascar and the UAE. He's also expected to sign some MOUs with both the governments here in UAE. Not just this, he will also launch a Bharat Mart portal, which will be a gateway to India and UAE trade, bilateral trade relation. We will have more details about it shortly after the Prime Minister launches the portal of Bharat Mart here in UAE. What we are given to understand is that this portal will be a gateway to all the products. It will in fact act as a one-stop platform for all the products, services of India here in the UAE. So this is in fact again a monumental advancement in the bilateral relationship of both the countries. And here at the World Government Summit, the Prime Minister will be speaking as the guest of honor. And at about 12:20 to 12:30 the local time here, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to speak here at the World Government Summit. The discussions are currently underway here with different leaders from across the world on how better governance and how more sustainable and efficient government can function throughout the world. So here, the mood here is absolutely, enthusiastic, with people from across different parts, representing different governments from across the world, are deliberating on different issues in different places here at the World Government Summit in Dubai. Back to you.
Right, Dibyendu, as my colleague Dibyendu was pointing out, today is the last and concluding day of the World Government Summit in Dubai, and PM Modi will deliver the keynote speech at that very summit in just a short while from now. Dibyendu, you spoke about how India is a guest of honor at this year's 9th edition of the WGS. Tell our viewers a bit more, if you can, about the theme of the summit, and is the focus really, as we are told, on artificial intelligence this time?
Oh, well, Ramesh, artificial intelligence is one of the key sectors. Not just this, I'll also draw the attention of our viewers to the mobility sector, to the advanced mobility and sustainable mobility sector, which is being displayed and deliberated here at the World Government Summit in Dubai. Remember, there is the Dubai government just yesterday signed an agreement with the Joby Sky Sports for, air taxi services, which is a sustainable air taxi service across the city. It is expected by 2026 the air taxi will be flying across the city of Dubai and also to other Emirates here in the UAE. So this is an efficient mode of transportation, which will perhaps be then moved to, making it a public transport system. So these are some of the key aspects. And of course, artificial intelligence, there has been a separate session dedicated for artificial intelligence here at the WGS, where, even Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, spoke at length yesterday at WGS about how artificial intelligence can be the game changer for the world. And we'll send you some reports in a short while from now. There's a robot, a human-looking robot placed here that can talk to you, respond to you, and behave like a complete human being. So these are some of the aspects that are being showcased here at the WGS. So of course, it is about more advanced technologies and how better governance can take place with the help of technology and more sustainability.
Indeed, and we look forward to your reports as well. Dibyendu, before we let you go, a quick question. You spoke with the UAE ambassador to India, Abdul Nasser Al-Shali, yesterday. How did he describe or characterize UAE-India ties, just for the benefit of viewers joining us from around the world?
Oh, well, Ramesh, the ambassador of UAE to India is very confident that the India and UAE relationship has cemented forever now, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting the United Arab Emirates for the 7th time now. There has been much greater cooperation in various sectors, including green energy, renewable energy, aerospace, artificial intelligence, economics. So there have been multiple cooperation. And also yesterday we saw the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi signing an MOU with the UAE leadership for implementation of UPI. This is in fact a remarkable transfer of technology in the fintech sector between both the countries. Today Dubai has committed that they will be implementing the UPI, India's UPI system, into their country within the next 3 months. So this indeed, in fact, it speaks volumes about the growing ties between both the leadership. Not just this, there have been several other MOUs that have been signed between the leadership of the UAE. And of course, in a short while from now, the Prime Minister will also engage the bilateral with the Prime Minister of the UAE and His Highness the Sheikh of Dubai. So, and there will also be further MOUs that could be exchanged between both the leaders. The relationship perhaps between both the countries, the UAE and that of India, have been cemented. It has grown over times. In the last 1 year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited for 5 times. This is the 5th visit in the last 1 year. A total of 7 visits over the last last 8 years. This also speaks about how the relationship and the ties between both the countries. Also remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was awarded the highest civilian award of the UAE. So this speaks about how the relationship between both the countries have grown over the last 7 to 8 years.
All right, Dibyendu, we'll leave it there. My colleague Dibyendu Mondal reporting there live from the venue of the World Government Summit taking place in Dubai, and we are standing by for the keynote speech by Prime Minister Modi at that very summit. Dibyendu, thank you for now. Appreciate it. Right, we still have our guests with us. Ambassador Shilkant Sharma, as I mentioned before, he is a former Indian ambassador to Austria and the UN office in Vienna. He was also the Secretary General of SAARC, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, a South Asian regional bloc. Ambassador Sharma, before I come to you, and thank you for your patience, by the way, for standing by through that report there by my colleague Dibyendu in Dubai. I want to quickly recap for the benefit of viewers joining us from around the world. Dibyendu referred to the UPI agreement. Now, UPI is Unified Payments Interface. It's India's indigenous instant mobile payment system. The UAE has also agreed to launch and introduce India's RuPay debit and credit cards as well. So that's growing in popularity in India and around the world at the same time. And just to, again, remind our viewers that PM Modi will hold bilateral meetings between now and the summit with the President of Madagascar as well as the Vice President of the UAE. So those two bilateral will take place before he delivers the keynote speech at the World Government Summit in Dubai. Right, and Ambassador Sharma, coming back to you, in your opening remarks, you gave us an overview of the India-UAE ties and how PM Modi's style of diplomacy, if I can call it that way, is boding well for India-UAE ties in particular. Let me dwell a bit more, if you will, on PM Modi's policies and priorities for West Asia in general and UAE in particular. How would you describe India's West Asia policy? Has it been a remarkable success, would you say, in the last 10 years? I ask you this because India, some would say, has done very well by straddling various pulls and pressures. For instance, Saudi Arabia, Iran ties, Iran-Israel ties, Israel-Palestinian ties. Do you think Indian foreign policy and diplomacy has been very deft and nimble at the same time?
Yes, it is the to the credit of the government of India and the diplomatic, personnel and led by our Prime Minister, that India comes across there is a comfort level of all the interlocutors, be that in Saudi Arabia or Dubai or UAE or Iran and Israel. It's high because they don't see India with anyone as anyone with ulterior motives. India wants to connect and work together for mutual benefit or for the collective benefit of the whole region and world. So this message has been now very well accepted, and like PM has visited the UAE 7 times, and UAE itself, the way it has risen the last 3-4 decades, is also an epitome of how a country can pull itself by its own bootstraps and rise to great heights. So today's UAE is it reflects modern technology, a consciousness for climate change and for energy, and using its oil wealth and its hydrocarbons to move forward to a new age for the coming industrial revolution. So, and when they see India, where Prime Minister Modi has committed his government for the last decade to these very things, like look at the way we worked on energy, look at the way we worked on high tech and on AI. We had the Google head in India about we had the Microsoft head in India about 10 days back. Said that in the coming 2 years, India's human resources in the AI field would contribute to some 25% of the world contribution. Now, this is the kind of faith that global community is now reposing in India because of its constructive attitude, because of its non-confrontational, non-zero-sum approach to diplomacy. So India's gain is your gain. It's not the other way around. And that kind of a message is very well accepted now. So I would say that this is the métier of our diplomacy. Indeed. And Prime Minister himself directs it, he creates it, he crafts it. His speeches are exemplary. And like today, the speech which he's going to make before the World Global Summit, World Government Summit, you will see again this view, his worldview. This was Dev Kutumbakam, and this I am Nijo Paramveti. That means this is mine and that is yours. Is the hallmark of a small minds, of a narrow minds, and Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is the view of someone who looks at with a udar charit, that means liberal and generous mind. So that is actually not only a speech and mantra, but actually translated into deeds and works. So like UPI payment you described in detail, this is a kind of a thing that we have succeeded. We have brought in this thing, which is extraordinary, which is a global plus for us, and we are willing to share it. And the other side appreciates this. So this is, and then look at every field like trade, investment, cooperation in multilateral forums, regional issues. The confluence of interest between India and UAE is very high. They share so much between them, and which is constructive, which is to benefit for their own peoples.
Indeed. Indeed. So as Ambassador Sharma was talking about there, we dealt at some length on India's West Asia policy, how it has been a success in the last 10 years, in particular under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He also spoke about how Prime Minister Modi's style of diplomacy, personalized diplomacy, when he invests a lot of time, energy and effort into establishing a personal rapport with world leaders, including the President of UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, how it bodes well for India-UAE ties as well. And they also got a ground report from the venue of the World Government Summit taking place in Dubai with our colleague Dibyunda Mondal, who covering the summit for us. And we are standing by for Prime Minister Modi's keynote speech to be delivered at that summit. Before we proceed any further, let me take a moment to recap the day one engagements for you. PM Modi reached the UAE on Tuesday. He was received by the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The leaders held talks on issues of mutual interest. Several MOUs were signed after their talks concluded.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of UAE Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan sharing a hug. Prime Minister Modi was also accorded Guard of Honor upon his arrival in Abu Dhabi. After the Indian Prime Minister's arrival, a bilateral meeting was held between the UAE President and Prime Minister Modi. Several MOUs were exchanged during the meet. India's Prime Minister expressed joy over the relations between the two countries and highlighted how UPI is playing a huge role in fintech between the two countries. Indian PM and UAE President also introduced the UPI RuPay card service in Abu Dhabi.
मुझे हमेशा लगा है कि जब मैं आपके पास आया हूं, आप लोगों के बीच आया हूं, तब हमेशा लगा है कि जैसे मैं अपने ही घर में आया हूं, अपने ही परिवार के ही सदस्यों के साथ मैं मिलने आया हूं, ऐसा मैं हमेशा अनुभव कर रहा हूं। और हमारे संबंधों की गहनता ऐसी है, पिछले 7 महीने में हम 5 बार मिले हैं। ये शायद बहुत रेयर होता है। मुझे भी यहाँ 7 बार आने का अवसर मिला है। यानी ये हमारी निकटता है और हर क्षेत्र में हम लोग जिस प्रकार से आगे बढ़े हैं, और आज भारत और यूएई के बीच में हर क्षेत्र में एक साझी भागीदारी हो रही है। आज भी हम कई महत्वपूर्ण फैसले करने जा रहे हैं। हम यूपीआई मेरा और हमारा जीवन कार्ड, इन दोनों का एक प्रकार से एक नया युग शुरू हो रहा है फिनटेक का, और ये भी अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा अनुभव है।
Prime Minister Modi expressed gratitude to the UAE President for the opening of the first Babs Hindu temple in Dubai. He emphasized on the strength of relations between India and the UAE with this mega event. PM Modi will inaugurate the temple tomorrow.
आपकी भारत के प्रति जो लगाव है और आपकी यूएई के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए जो विजन है, उसका एक उदाहरण मैं देख रहा हूं। यहाँ बीएपीएस का मंदिर बनना, आपके सहयोग के बिना ये संभव ही नहीं था। और मेरी पहली मुलाकात थी, मैंने सिंपली आपको रिक्वेस्ट की कि जरा आप देख लीजिए, और पलक झपकते ही आपने उसका निर्णय करके मुझे बता दिया कि आप बस जगह पर ऐसे उंगली रख दीजिए, आपको जगह मिल जाएगी। शायद इतना विश्वास, इतना प्यार अपने आप में एक बहुत ही अनोखे संबंधों की ये शक्ति को दर्शाता है।
Bharat Mata Ki Jai and Alan Modi slogans reverberated and filled the atmosphere with electrifying energy as members of the Indian diaspora welcomed Prime Minister Modi at the hotel where PM will stay during his visit. This is PM's 7th visit to the UAE. Over the last 9 years, India and the UAE cooperation in diverse sectors such as trade and investment, defense and security, food, energy security, and education has grown manyfold.
All right, it's just after 12:40 p.m. India time. We are standing by for the latest news from Dubai, where Prime Minister Modi was scheduled to hold bilateral talks with a number of leaders, including the President of Madagascar and the Vice President of the UAE. We'll get you that as and when they become available. But for now, let me go back to my guest, Ambassador Shilkant Sharma, who is with us, and he has been talking to you and our viewers about the broad overview and the sort of a bird's eye view, as it were, of India-UAE ties in general. Also joining me, I'm told, is another guest, Professor Ashwini Mahapatra. He teaches at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, and he joins us from New Delhi. May I take a moment to welcome Professor Mahapatra as well on this special broadcast. We'll connect with him in just a bit. But if I can go back to Ambassador Sharma. Ambassador Sharma, I'm told Professor Mahapatra is with us. Professor Mahapatra, welcome to this special broadcast. Good to have you join us on this discussion. But before I come to you, Professor Mahapatra, let me go across to Ambassador Sharma once more. Ambassador Sharma, we spoke about Prime Minister Modi's diplomacy, style of diplomacy, and India-UAE ties in general. Let me ask you about the strength and vitality of the Indian diaspora in the UAE in particular. It is home to a 3.5 million strong Indian community, and they play a crucial role in strengthening the ties between the two countries, India and the UAE. What did you make of Prime Minister Modi's, you mentioned his watermark or trademark or hallmark, as it were, of his foreign tours, reaching out to the diaspora, and in this case, the Ellen Modi event that took place in Abu Dhabi yesterday?
Well, it is also heartening, the way he goes out. In Arabic, ahlan is, ahlan wa sahlan is a normal greeting also. It means hello, it means welcome. It also has a certain, pleasant message. So Ahlan Modi is itself, reflecting the sentiment very, very succinctly. And the images which came of his meeting with the diaspora and the meeting with the school children, the way he interacted with them, the way he talked to the children, talked to the boy who had painted made a collage, that shows his instant readiness to interact. And it is not stage managed, it is spontaneous. So this spontaneity of the leader of the biggest, most populous country in the world to meet people is extraordinary, unprecedented. We have not seen a leader like that who represents the largest, population in the world and still meets with people in this very informal, spontaneous way. And the way the people take to him, the response of the Indian community, the way they are happy to meet him, is also is reflective of the way ordinary Indians or the Indians who belong to different walks of life, when they are settled abroad, they look at the country, and for them, the leadership epitomizes, it's a representation of the 1.4.2 billion people.
Indeed.
So that is, it is. I've lived there. I have lived abroad, and I know how uplifting and emotionally enriching this experience is for the Indian community to meet with our Prime Minister, and he realizes this thoroughly. So his meetings are very, very full, and it's not like it is far beyond formality. It's informal and enriching and complete. So I would say this is he has created a new chapter.
Absolutely, without doubt. Indeed.
Of public diplomacy.
Indeed. Well said there, Ambassador Sharma. Let me go to my other guest joining me on this broadcast, Professor Ashwini Mahapatra, who is waiting patiently by for this discussion. And Professor Mahapatra, welcome. Good to have you join us on this special broadcast. Now, we discussed the World Government Summit and yesterday's engagements with Ambassador Sharma. I want to ask you about the other big event India and the UAE are looking forward to, the inauguration of the largest Hindu temple in the whole of West Asia, and Abu Dhabi's first Hindu temple, which will be inaugurated by PM Modi shortly. Is it high on symbolism and substance? I like the fact that Abu Dhabi is getting its first ever Hindu temple in less than 8 years since the time it was first proposed.
True. It's more than the symbolism. You see, it does indicate the kind of changes some of the West Asian countries, particularly Gulf countries, UAE, even to an extent Saudi Arabia, have undergone in last at least 5 years, you see, and these changes are quite evident and indicative of the changes in the governance, and it could be because of the economic compulsions, because of the increasing interdependent world, and their decision to move away from the typical rentier economy in exclusive reliance on the oil and gas as the source of income. All these factors together, to me, have led to this kind of change in these countries. And this construction of the temple, its inauguration, does show the kind of primacy or the priorities these countries have been of late attaching to India. One is, you see, the Indians living in the Gulf countries have never been a source of trouble for any of this Gulf monarchy. And number two, they have always appreciated the hard labor, the honesty, integrity shown by the Indian diaspora in those countries. And they have been quite appreciable of this, admiring all through. And that did create that wealth of pro-India sentiments all through. Unfortunately, the Indian leadership earlier failed to cash in on that the wellspring of the pro-India sentiment existing in these countries, and perhaps it was left to Prime Minister Modi to take advantage of that thing. And third factor is, as I mentioned to you, these countries of late have been ideologically moving away from the typical radical kind of ideology, which was earlier a compulsion so as to ensure the survival and the legitimacy of this government. And all these factors have led to this kind of changes. And these changes basically provided opportunity to the Indian government, and given the kind of leadership we had, did take advantage of that. So is the basic both way. I'm just trying to basically dovetail the changes taking place here, the kind of leadership we have here. And that apart, these countries of later begin to appreciate the kind of developmental activity, transformative changes taking place in the country under the charismatic leadership of Prime Minister Modi. And they look forward to close their relationship with India. It's not simply economic sphere. You find this multidimensional relationship just developing between two countries, particularly India and UAE, even to an extent between India and Saudi Arabia, and in other Gulf countries. So my submission is, you see, that is a remarkable and historic. That after so many years, is a kind of newfound friendship between India and UAE. And what surprises me as a student of West Asian politics for so many years now, and even if we had that kind of sentiment existed before, why didn't, how come the leadership failed to notice it? And even if they did notice it, why did they fail to pursue a policy, adopt a policy by cashing on these sentiments and translating into a kind of material, relationship between two countries, and which has a long future?
Indeed.
And that was reflected in all the statements and expression made by Prime Minister Modi, the way he has been admiring, appreciating the leadership of UAE, and all his speeches. And, that will definitely go a long way, as rightly mentioned, that together UAE and India would be writing the history of future.
Absolutely.
That's my submission here.
Indeed. Professor Mahapatra, Ambassador Sharma, do stay on. I'll come back to you momentarily. But I want to take a moment to play out my colleague Dibyendra Mondal's conversation with UAE's ambassador to India, Abdul Nasser Jamal Al Shali. Take a listen.
How do you look at this entire visit of Prime Minister to the UAE for the 7th time?
It's an important visit. It's a strategic visit. And those are the kind of visits that keep the relationship going from one strength to the next, and it makes sure also that the momentum is always there in the relationship, that we keep track of everything that we discuss at those meetings, and we make sure that we progress them.
How do you perceive the India-UAE relationship growing over the last couple of years?
Well, the visit by the Prime Minister 8 to 9 years ago was a turning point in this relationship. You could see that from that visit onwards there has been quite the progress on multiple fronts in this relationship.
How do you look at this inauguration by Prime Minister, and of course a temple in the UAE by Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
It's going to be monumental. It's going to be memorable to all of us here. We have been excited and looking forward, and the fact that the Prime Minister is going to inaugurate it himself is significant, especially in the context of the relationship between the two countries. The Mandir to us stands for the UAE's values of coexistence, acceptance and tolerance, and I'm sure that this is going to be an unforgettable experience to everyone.
We would like to end you at this happy note and see the India and UAE relationship grow further from here on.
All right, that was my colleague Dibyendra Mondal speaking to UAE's ambassador to India, Abdul Nasser Al Shali. In some more updates for you, India has signed a bilateral investment treaty with the United Arab Emirates. It already has a comprehensive economic partnership agreement which was signed some time ago. Now, India and the UAE have also signed 10 other memoranda of understanding on cooperation in the field of electricity, interconnection and trade as well. India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra, at a press conference on PM Modi's visit to the UAE a short while ago, said that these agreements open new areas of cooperation in the fields of energy and energy security alike.
On cooperation in the field of electricity connection and trade. The objective of this particular MOU is to focus on strengthening our partnership in two crucial domains. One, relating to energy security, and two, relating to energy trade. Clean energy trade is an important segment of this MOU. This would focus naturally on green hydrogen and also on energy storage.
The Foreign Secretary informed that both countries also signed a pact on interlinking domestic debit and credit cards. The Indian rupee with UAE's J1, the MEA also said that this is an important step in building financial sector cooperation, and it will enhance the universal acceptance of rupee across the Emirates.
Agreement on the interlinking of the instant payment platforms, UPI of India and ANI of the UAE. I think it is self-explanatory what it seeks to achieve, which is a closer integration and cooperation between the financial platforms of the two economies.
During the visit, Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday also interacted with the first batch of students from the Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi, Abu Dhabi campus, calling it a new chapter in bilateral relations between India and the UAE.
Trade already stands close to $85 billion, and UAE is the fourth largest investor in the Indian economy. As part of his program, the Honorable Prime Minister also met with the first batch of students of the IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi campus. The campus and the institute has started its first academic program this January, and is a landmark step in collaboration in the field of education, and the facilities of this institute would be available for the students globally.
Right, let me go back to my guests, Ambassador Shilkant Sharma and Professor Ashwini Mahapatra, who are with us for this special broadcast. Ambassador Sharma, there you heard the Foreign Secretary brief journalists on the outcomes of PM Modi's talks with the UAE President on Tuesday, that's yesterday, in Abu Dhabi. If I were to ask you, are you satisfied with the outcomes from their talks?
Yes, they are very satisfying. They actually.
Why do you say that?
I say this because they are building up on a chain which has been established over the last 10 years. So it's like SEPA itself is a very big thing. Now SEPA combined with investment bilateral investment treaty makes the bond between the two countries stronger. Then that combined with the instant payment electronic arrangement shows that this bond is actually connected to people. It is translated to, it's real, it's palpable. Then the 10 MOUs. So the whole gamut of bilateral relations is on board, and each aspect is strengthened. So that's what makes you feel very confident that we are on a virtuous helix, in a virtuous cycle. We are moving up and up because an $85 billion for instance, this trade, no one would have imagined it, say, 20 years back, that with UAE, India's bilateral trade would reach these heights. And it seems to be still work in progress. The kind of energy connectivity and, the renewable energy cooperation, green hydrogen, these are all vistas of the future where we know work will be done because they are incumbent on us as the planetary imperative. And India is very, very responsive to this. Prime Minister Modi's speeches are very clear that climate change is very high on his agenda, and he wants to move to the the green energy.
Ambassador Sharma, do stay on. We are getting the latest visuals of Prime Minister Modi's bilateral interactions on the sidelines of the World Governments Summit in Dubai. We are getting these latest visuals of PM Modi's bilateral with the President of Madagascar. This is his first of two bilaterals that are planned for the day in Dubai on the margins of the World Governments Summit, where India is the guest of honor, and Prime Minister Modi will shortly deliver the keynote speech at that very summit taking place in Dubai. So these are the latest visuals coming to you from Dubai of Prime Minister Modi's bilateral meeting with the President of Madagascar on the margins of the World Governments Summit taking place in Dubai. Remember, Wednesday, that is today, is the concluding day of the World Governments Summit, the 9th edition of the summit, and India is the guest of honor on the last day of the summit, and PM Modi will deliver the keynote speech in a short while from now. Prime Minister Modi is on a two-day visit to the UAE. He landed in Abu Dhabi yesterday, that is Tuesday afternoon local time, where he was met personally by the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, after which they held bilateral talks and followed by the much anticipated event called Ehlan Modi. Ehlan means hello in Arabic. This was an Indian diaspora outreach event for the Prime Minister. Thousands had gathered at the Zayed Sports City Stadium in Abu Dhabi for the much anticipated speech by PM Modi, in which he crisscrossed the length and breadth of India-UAE ties and also spoke about how India is proud of the diaspora and that they are indeed India's pride in many ways. And we are now getting with the visuals of PM Modi's bilateral meeting that's just taken place moments ago in Dubai on the margins of the World Governments Summit. Right, as we stay on these visuals, if I may bring in Ambassador Sharma. Ambassador Sharma, do finish making a point before I go across to Professor Mahapatra as well.
I was actually saying that, this is a relationship which has formed foundation in transactions,
right?
But it's beyond transactions. It's a relationship which transcends, the humdrum of give and take. But
indeed.
It's a reflection of confidence and faith in each other. The payment, instant payment mechanism actually shows how each economy is confident of the other. And this bonding actually is for mutual benefit. So, this Prime Minister's 7th visit, and it's like it's a propitious, virtuous helix that each turn takes you up, and at each visit there are new vistas which are fresh, and also you see the entire whole of government approach, like
Indeed.
the delegations large, everyone is involved, various ministries are involved, and because they know that the leader is himself very keen, and he would like to review it and review the progress. So this is it gives you confidence in actual transition in the work. It's just not limited to an event management kind of thing.
Absolutely,
it's not limited
without
to
doubt. Indeed.
Talk without substance. It's all substantive and transcendental. The question of astha, or whatever you can call faith in the Indian philosophy, is very deep. And this temple represents how deeply Indians are for astha. That means astha also means positive. They are not for cynicism. And Arab world also, in Arabic there is no equivalent of atheism or agnosticism. They believe in faith, and those who are not faithful, for they have a different word. So you have that kind of a civilizational link between the two, which we seem to be connecting. And I cannot stop talking whenever I speak about India's ties with the Gulf. That these were our neighbors for centuries, for thousands of years, and the name Hind is actually the Arabic word for sweet, because the wind which used to come from the Indian part of the Gulf, used to have, it was sweet. It was not harsh. So in Arabic they call it Sindh, and then the Arabic Sa becomes Hind. So this is the kind of a feeling they have, and the country is called Al-Hind, which is not all countries. It's a major name. It's in Arabic. Major countries are with a definite article Al. So these are all internal to the language, the culture, and Prime Minister Modi's leadership has shown that we are together. The way he spoke, that I feel as though I've come to my own family, to my own house. This is the emotion, and in the Arab world, emotion is important.
Absolutely.
When we were posted there, we used to see leaders of Middle East coming across. Suddenly we see open the morning newspaper and say, "Oh, so and so is here." So there's no big preparation. They just come freely. Kulli yawm tal is the word in Arabic. That means every day come. So this is the openness which we also in our ancient culture had. Like in the village, there were no prior appointments. You just walk into your neighbor's house and you are taken up. The children recognize you. So that is why this kind of relationship, it bodes very well for our bilateral relationship.
Indeed.
So recognized, highly appreciate, highly welcomed.
Absolutely. Right, we are 3 minutes past 1 p.m. New Delhi time. That is 11:30 UAE time or 7:30 GMT. We just got you the latest visuals of PM Modi's meeting with the President of Madagascar, Andry Rajoelina, in Dubai on the margins of the World Government Summit taking place in that city. We'll get you play those visuals once more on this broadcast as we go forward. But for now, if I may request our guests to stay on momentarily, let me take a quick break. We'll continue this special coverage on the other side. Keep watching DD India. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you, Ramesh.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter. We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome to Chandigarh.
Welcome back. You're watching the continuous coverage here on DD India of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United Arab Emirates. I'm Ramesh Ramachandaran. Right, we still have our guests with us. Joining me again on this special broadcast is Ambassador Shilkant Sharma. He's a former Indian envoy to Austria and the UN office in Vienna, and is also a former Secretary General of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, also known as SAARC. Also with me is Professor Ashwini Mahapatra, who teaches at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Gentlemen, welcome back on the second hour, as it were, of our special broadcast. We are standing by for another bilateral meeting of PM Modi with the Vice President of the UAE, this time in Dubai again on the margins of the World Governments Summit, Sheikh Al Maktoum. We'll get you the visuals of that meeting in just a bit. But going back to a discussion with our guests, Professor Mahapatra and Ambassador Sharma, and by the way, these are the visuals of the just concluded bilateral of PM Modi with the President of Madagascar, Andre Rajoelina, in Dubai, as I said, on the margins of the World Government Summit. This was the first of two bilaterals that PM Modi will hold before he addresses the plenary, the keynote speech at the World Government Summit in Dubai in just a short while from now. But as we stay on these visuals, let me bring in my guests back in the discussion, Ambassador Shilkant Sharma and Professor Mahapatra. Professor Mahapatra, talking about the outcomes of PM Modi's talks with Sheikh Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi yesterday, that is Tuesday. Is it fair to say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the India-UAE ties have graduated, as it were, from the traditional areas such as energy and energy security to more modern issues, if it, as it were, artificial intelligence, education, and even clean energy?
It's true. That's the relationship actually have undergone the transformation from the typical seller-buyer relationship into a multifaceted partnership between the two countries. And so you see all spheres. You see with the financial. Now today both the countries talk about the energy trade is going beyond the typical energy security, and that was the prime concern of India until recently. We've gone beyond the energy security to energy trade. They talk about the connectivity and the financial interlinking, acceptability of Rupee and UAE. And I was told even the UAE government has agreed for the transaction in our UPI. All this shows the kind of closeness that has been forged between the two countries in last couple of years. Underlying all this, I see the element of trust, Vishwas. That's more important. If had it been missing, then all these things would have actually collapsed. The structure of a relationship would largely rely on that element of trust. And the trust has been built primarily because of the leadership quality demonstrated by Prime Minister Modi. And along with that, the kind of achievement India has made in the last couple of years, particularly in the economic sphere, as the growing economy and with this, the political stability, with the internal problems being resolved, much of this internal problem being resolved one after another, whether the northeastern insurgency or the so-called terrorism being contained, all these factors have changed India's identity and image in the global arena. That needs to be taken into account, to understand the interplay of factors accounting for the transformative changes taking place between India and its so-called extended neighborhood. Whether it is UAE, even Saudi Arabia, look at Oman, look at even Qatar for that matter, that's respectability. That's the hallmark of the Indian foreign policy in the last couple of years, and that was missing all through.
Indeed.
So my submission here is that the relationship between India and UAE is more than simply typical strategic partnership. It is comprehensive and multifaceted. It has embraced all areas of life, and that's definitely is likely to bring the two countries closer. Even the people between two countries are closer to know each other and appreciate each other, socio-cultural background, and both sides have learned from each other's their experiences and their cultural background. That is something a new kind of novel. I see the novelty in this relationship, and that in a way has raised the bar, and to an extent, I call Prime Minister Modi responsible for that. Whoever become the leader of the country in future has to rise up to that kind of expectation.
Indeed.
It's a huge thing.
Absolutely. Indeed.
So that's in terms of leadership quality, leadership capacity to deliver, to perform, and at the same time reinforce the identity of India as the emerging power.
Absolutely.
That whole world has begun to appreciate and recognize it, and bilaterally though, it never happened in the past. And it should make every Indian, whether inside the country or residing outside the country, feel really proud about it. Is a matter of pride for all of us. It is no mean achievement. And second most important thing I would like to submit here is foreign policy should not be seen as extension domestic policy. That's a conventional understanding of foreign policy. One is to understand how the foreign policy also equally responsible in terms of project your country as what it is. And that's a third point I related to this is foreign policy of country today is citizen-centric. Here the people are involved. It's no longer left to these only elite to decide the foreign policy direction of the country. Look at the involvement of the public. Look at the kind of sense of pride and the glories the people feel it. So you see, these are some of these perceptible changes that I find well indicated or represented by the kind of closeness today we find between India and the UAE.
Absolutely. Ambassador Sharma, as Professor Mahapatra was pointing out there, he says PM Modi has raised the bar, as it were, for people who will follow him in the decades to come by investing a lot of time, energy and effort into ramping up India's ties with West Asia in general and the UAE in particular. In that context, I have to ask you this. Is it also true that countries in the Arab world in particular are now also looking eastwards towards India to diversify their portfolio, so to speak, away from their traditional partners to new partners such as India, and that this plays into complementarities in adding to the burgeoning India-UAE ties in particular?
Yes, because the major countries in the Arab world, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and on the other side, Iran, India has been trying to forge ties with them based on mutual interest, mutual understanding, mutual benefit, and shunning all the negativities which have been transmitted to the Middle East by those with whom they were traditionally dealing with, and so there is on the man in the street, in his heart, there is a certain lack of faith about the traditional partners who are actually helpless, who seem to be helpless in solving their problems. On the other hand, when they look at India and Indian government and the people, there is positivity which is there is nothing which is, we don't believe in shunning. We believe in inclusion, assimilation,
Right.
mutual respect, and our self-image is not daunting to our interlocutors. So India doesn't come across as arrogant or supercilious or condescending. On the other hand, there is utter humility with which we connect, and Prime Minister's speeches, they are like that of the leader of the most populous country in the world, talking with total humility that I'm feeling as though I'm coming to my own family, my own house. That is so the Arabs like it. In Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, in Jordan, in most of these countries, Morocco, and in the other Gulf countries, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, everywhere there is this. Their emotional content is similar to ours, and we have tried to make a resonance of this similarity of emotional content, and we managed to successfully rule out the negativities which were tried to be imparted by some some powers, which have now been
Right.
put set to keep away. So we look forward to have a burgeoning relationship with the Arab world, and this is how we had visualized it all through, and it is just that the leadership today is taking it in hand and pushing it, and so it's emotional. It is transactional, but at the same time not limited to transactions.
Right.
It is transcendent and forever breaking the frontiers. Like today, when we talk of artificial intelligence and green hydrogen, it is the frontline preoccupation of technology all over the world. How to get energy without polluting the atmosphere, without creating climate change. So, and here is the oil producer, which is one of the most, the biggest oil and hydrocarbon producer. They are looking at it transcending oil and fossil fuel. They are looking at hydrogen, green hydrogen, and energy transition. So this shows how we can gel, we can work together. And I find the human resource which is required for the new age, as it were, India is willing to make that human resource available. The setting up of the Dubai campus of the IIT Delhi is one example that, look, we have excelled, or we are excelling, we are trying to reach heights, but at the same time, we are willing to share this with our neighbors, our friends. So this openness and outstretched arms with which when we meet, it is well appreciated.
Right. Right, Ambassador Sharma, do stay on. I'll come back to you momentarily. Let me pull up some more news for the benefit of viewers tuning in right now here on this special broadcast on DD India as part of our coverage of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ongoing visit to the UAE. Energetic and jubilant chanting, lively traditional dances, all infused with a sense of pride in Indian identity, an encapsulated atmosphere of the Ahlan Modi event held in Abu Dhabi on Tuesday evening local time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the members of the Indian diaspora in Abu Dhabi during the Ahlan Modi event. Prime Minister Modi, who is on a two-day visit to the United Arab Emirates, congratulated the members of the Indian diaspora for turning up in large numbers. Addressing the Indian diaspora at the Ahlan Modi event held in Abu Dhabi, Prime Minister Modi said India-UAE's friendship is as strong in space as it is on land.
भारत-यूएई की दोस्ती जितनी जमीन पर मजबूत है, उतना ही उसका परचम अंतरिक्ष में भी लहरा रहा है। मैं इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन में 6 महीने बिताने वाले पहले अमीरात के एस्ट्रोनॉट सुल्तान अल नयादी को भारत की तरफ से बधाई देता हूं। उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल योगा डे और इंडिपेंडेंस डे पर भारत को स्पेस से शुभकामनाएं भेजी। इसके लिए भी मैं उन्हें धन्यवाद देता हूं।
At that Ahlan Modi event held in Abu Dhabi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, and I quote, "Our relation is that of talent, innovation and culture," unquote.
आज 21वीं सदी के इस तीसरे दशक में भारत और यूएई का रिश्ता एक अभूतपूर्व ऊंचाई पर पहुंच रहा है। हम एक दूसरे की प्रोग्रेस में पार्टनर हैं। हमारा रिश्ता टैलेंट का है, इनोवेशन का है, कल्चर का है। बीते समय में हमने हर दिशा में अपने संबंधों को नई ऊर्जा दी है। हम दोनों देश साथ मिलकर चले हैं, साथ मिलकर आगे बढ़े। आज यूएई भारत का तीसरा बड़ा ट्रेड पार्टनर है। आज यूएई 7वां बड़ा इन्वेस्टर है। हम दोनों देश ईज ऑफ लिविंग और ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस दोनों में बहुत अधिक सहयोग कर रहे हैं।
All right, joining me from Dubai is my colleague Arun Sharma for more on the developing story. Remember, this is the continuous coverage here on DD India of Prime Minister Modi's ongoing visit to the United Arab Emirates. It's day 2 of his visit, and Arun joins us for more on the engagements of the Prime Minister in Dubai. Arun, good to have you join this broadcast. How did the bilaterals go of the Prime Minister in Dubai?
Well, the two bilaterals took place today on the sidelines of the World Government Summit in Dubai. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, of course, met the Prime Minister of UAE and the ruler of the Dubai, and of course the President of the Madagascar. Well, in both the bilaterals, the key focus was on the fact that how can the bilateral relationships can be taken, forward to new heights, and how can the shared vision can be achieved. Now, the key takeaway of today's, the event of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is, of course, address governments and today Indian Narendra Modi launching the Bharat from Dubai. Now, this is indeed, as I mentioned earlier, that Bharat Mart is going to play a crucial role in providing a big market to the exporters of India, because we know this fact that UAE is known as, or primarily Dubai is known as the gateway to the international market. A lot of investors, traders, they do come to Dubai for under the one umbrella of for selling and purchasing, and therefore India is also now showcasing the Bharat Mart. India's when we say about the Bharat Mart, it brings all the exporters under one umbrella. They can showcase their product. So the way we have gem portal in India, whereby purchases can be made by the by people in India. So in a similar way, the Bharat Mart plays as an international platform whereby international buyers can come forward. They can purchase the products of Indian exporters. So this will indeed give a major push to the Make in India initiative of India, and of course give a major push to the exporters. And of course will play an important role as far as the vocal for local initiative of the government, the Indian government is concerned. Yes, so it's going to be a significant day, and we know this fact that in almost all the newspapers today in UAE, the chemistry between the President of UAE and Indian Prime Minister, and the way he connected via Indian Diaspora yesterday, all that has been published on the front page. So this showcases that how Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, is taking forward the relations between India and UAE to new heights. And of course, today's big takeaway is, of course, going to be the World's Government Summit, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to address this event for the second time. And of course, various, it is expected that, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to highlight, is likely to highlight, various initiatives, the India growth story, and the time when, AI is becoming dominant, at a time when, technology becoming dominant all across the world. It is very important that what Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses as far as AI, the technology is concerned.
I'm afraid we've lost that link with Arun in Dubai. Arun Sharma was joining us from the venue of the World Governments Summit taking place in Dubai, where India is the guest of honor on the third and concluding day of the summit. Remember, we are standing by for Prime Minister Modi's keynote speech to that summit in just a short while from now. Remember, it's the 9th edition of the World Governments Summit, and it's the second time PM Modi of India will be addressing the summit. Right, we'll go back to our guests who are with us through this special broadcast, Ambassador Shilkant Sharma and Professor Ashwini Mahapatra. Ambassador Sharma is a former Indian envoy to Austria and the UN office in Vienna. He is also a former Secretary General of SAARC. And Professor Mahapatra teaches at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Gentlemen, good to have you back on this discussion. Ambassador Sharma, if I can start with you while we wait for Professor Mahapatra to also join us. Ambassador Sharma, we discussed about Prime Minister Modi's diplomacy, India-UAE ties, the Indian diaspora as well. Walk our viewers through the other big event we are looking forward to. That's the inauguration of the first ever Hindu temple in Abu Dhabi. We are told it's the largest in the whole of West Asia. It took barely 8 years from the time it was proposed to the consecration of the temple itself. What does this symbolize in terms of India's ties with the UAE? And is the Arab world changing at the same time? Is it becoming more open and liberal?
UAE as a country and has been outgoing, has had an open mind about many things. So what we see today in Abu Dhabi is not the hidebound image which some people might carry about the Gulf. It is a different Gulf, it's a different UAE, which sees the world with open mind and open heart. And our Prime Minister, in his own speech yesterday, he said that in 2015, when he came, he met the president and he said that we have a large Indian community, and he just mentioned the need for them to have a temple. And he said he was so pleasantly surprised and ecstatic that this was worked upon, and they located the land, and then so in the past 8 years they built the temple. So his gratitude to the UAE government and the leadership was that they have been sensitive and caring for the Indian expatriates for whom a temple represented a certain important aspect of life, for them. So, and they saw it without any fear or any threat that a temple in UAE is a good thing. It actually increases the bond, because the Indians are now, and wherever Indians have gone and wherever there have been temples, the bond increases, because their religiosity, their spiritualism, it enriches their selves, and it nourishes their existence to a positivity. It doesn't lead to any conflict or tension or derision of others. So that is the major, I think success of the temple shows that this message from India is well accepted in the UAE, that we are there. What we do is for self-improvement, but our exercise is not against you, or it's not zero-sum game. That, I think, is very important. And the largest temple is also because in UAE the construction industry is very good, and Indians themselves have been involved, and they have an open mind about it. So they had stones from Rajasthan, and they had marbles from Italy, and the way the temple was built, the carvings and the sculpture, it's all art. So there is no skepticism, or there is no cynicism about the art. So all these are actually positive aspect of the confluence of the spirit and of the hearts and minds between the two countries, between two peoples.
Indeed. Professor Mahapatra, how has the perception of India under Prime Minister Modi changed in your estimation over the last decade, especially given India's, what some people call a successful West Asia policy, advancing India's interests and ties with countries in the Arab world and Gulf alike?
So-called the policy of balancing all these encounter challenges, given the conflict proneness of West Asia region. So if you look around, as some of the data indicate, I think this is called the world's most conflict-ridden region. And at a time, you have several conflict sites in West Asia, from Yemen to Syria to Israel, for example, Arab territory. So extremely difficult for two reasons. The reasons is a region which I often call it extremely penetrated. You have the all through a Western domination of the region. Now, before that to the British, and subsequently you have the American domination. 1991, that marked the beginning of what we call today the Pax Americana. And post 2011, when the Americans decided to make the exit from Iraq, you had a kind of power vacuum emerging in the region for some time. and where China of late has been trying hard to fill the vacuum, but doesn't have that required wherewithal to fill the vacuum. And there's quite skepticism. A lot of people begin to really wonder what will happen to India. So India would be losing its whatever little toehold it had in West Asia. So in a completely messy, structural and messy situation in West Asia. And with rise of Prime Minister Modi's to power, the things began to change. Initially, we tried hard to balance our relationship and what is called the de-hyphenating India's relationship with a particular country. And we tried to have, we tried to bring everybody on board. But it is really quite challenging for Indian diplomats to really fructify that kind of policy, given the structural problem that West Asia region has it. But subsequently, you'll find the focus shifting from the so-called the mainstream countries of West Asia like Egypt, Syria, furthermore Iran, to the Gulf countries, And you'll find certain burgeoning of relationship between India and some of the Gulf countries, UAE. Earlier, of course, we had a very good relation with Oman. But now things began to change with Prime Minister visit in 2015 to UAE and subsequently a couple of visits to Saudi Arabia. So things began to change. We have a more focus on the Gulf countries. And the Gulf is a kind of, I call it a microcosm of India changing relationship with West Asia as a whole.
Right.
As Ambassador rightly pointed out, things begin to change in West Asia. With this, as I mentioned before, the consecration of the temple is a more than symbolism. It does indicate the preparedness on the part of the ruling elite to expose the people to different culture.
Right.
Going beyond the so-called binary they were, fed into. The East versus West, Christianity versus Islam. There is another, stream which sends a message which I call transnational, which is universal message.
Indeed.
Well, encapsulated in, Sarva Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarveshantu Niramaya, and the Z20's, theme. So, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, these are some of these, what I call the quote-unquote the cultural capital of India as a civilization. So people there were not exposed to this kind of ideas. I'll give you a point. So these ideas represent a kind of conciliatory voice. It doesn't generate conflict, doesn't sustain conflict, doesn't contribute any way to escalation of conflict. So these are the ideas that people out there need to be exposed to. The temple also represents the typical Indian art and architecture. That's another way that people will have a kind of broader exposure to how the Indian art and architecture is totally different. Third is their understanding of Indian civilization. India is not simply a nation state. It's a civilization state. It's as much to give to the world. I get your point. This particular temple carries a lot of messages to the rest of the world in general and to West Asia in particular.
Absolutely. Ambassador Sharma, I want us to talk a bit, if you will, on the specific aspect or issue of de-hyphenation, India's ties with Arab world and Arab world's ties with Pakistan in particular. Is it true now that, given with the benefit of hindsight, that India's ties with the Arab world stands on its own? It's independent of their ties with Pakistan or India's ties with Pakistan for that matter?
Well, about this, our foreign minister, Mr. Dr. Jaishankar, put it very succinctly, I think some months back when somebody asked. He said, who cares for them? Because they have brought themselves to such a pass that who really minds them? Now, that was very polite way of saying that the way Pakistan has brought itself to kind of a depths, that all these countries, they have come out to help them and they are there to support them, but they don't speak their language anymore.
Right.
Pakistan thought that they could draft their speeches. That doesn't happen. The UAE and Saudi Arabia and Gulf countries, they all have their own, philosophies, their whole worldview, and Pakistan is left way behind. So in that new worldview, India stands on its own. They find India a country to do business with, India, a civilization to do business with, in India as a huge society for confluence in various domains. So that situation, has come about in the past 2 decades of this century, and Indian diplomacy has played a major part in this, of course, led by our Prime Minister himself. So and this confidence, this faith in India, as I said, has been inspired by our actions. We are not, we don't go to them to enlist them for a fight, for a larger ambition, as some countries want to do. They want to rule the world, and that they are enlisting people, Bridge and Road Initiative and debt diplomacy. India doesn't do anything of that kind.
Indeed.
India has first priority on its own 1.42 billion people. They're transforming their lives and their comprehensive development. And India sends a message that this comprehensive development is not a threat to anyone. It is actually an asset. And just as the Indian diaspora is an asset for these countries because of this constructive attitude, same way Indian government and India's people globally are an asset. And
Indeed.
This has been said by most of India's interlocutors who come to Delhi, and they say a strong India is an interest of world peace and development. So I think these messages from India are respected, are acknowledged. And our role, like during the pandemic, for instance, how we came forward, how we are willing to help, how we
I'm afraid we've lost that link with Ambassador Shilkant Sharma. We'll try to fix that video link with him momentarily. We were discussing about India-UAE ties and the distance they've traveled in dehyphenating their relationship from all extraneous considerations or third parties, as it were. We'll get back to Ambassador Sharma if we can momentarily. But going across to Professor Mahapatra. Professor Mahapatra, I want us to broaden the ambit of our discussion to cover the entire West Asian region as a whole. And I ask you this because 2 important developments have taken place in the last year or more. First is the I2U2, which is described as the Quad of West Asia, comprising India, Israel, the US and the UAE. And the second development is a more recent phenomenon, which is the India-West Asia-Europe Economic Corridor, which was agreed upon on the margins of the 2023 G20 summit in New Delhi. How did these 2 ideas, as it were, come about?
So you have to first take into account the background. As I mentioned before, the international politics, a system undergoing change. So that is called a kind of era power transition.
Okay.
So that's kind of, it has its own dynamics. It creates space for other powers to assert. And it also, leaves the kind of scope for a couple of rising power to come together based on their shared interest to move forward in a way that would not antagonize any so-called global powers. And second thing is, if you look here, things have begun to change in West Asia. I'm not saying that people out there got sick and tired of the conflict as such, yes, to an extent, because ultimately they're the ones who bear the brunt of it. But the post-conflict scenario, if you look at West Asia, that was a serious challenge to all these, ruling regimes out here. And there is a kind of, the strife among them to how to get out of these, the kind of problem they are facing out there. And they look forward to the third perspective, alternative, which is which is emerging and which perhaps would help them in retaining their hold over the power without risking much problem inside the country or among the countries in West Asia. So in that broader way, in a broader perspective, you will see that these 4 countries, UAE, Israel, and United States, India, come together with the shared interest in economic development. Even though it was touted as an alternative to China or to America, to Russia, but it was not so as long as India remains as a member, as a party to this kind of multilateral. So essentially it is based on the shared economic interest, how to grow together. Yes, it has had a political fallout. You will find the relationship between UAE and Israel have undergone changes. And you'll also find the indication coming from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for that matter, towards the normalization relation with Israel. For some time it has been disrupted because of the development in Gaza. So things are changing and the people out there, the ruling elite have begun to realize this state of affairs will not continue for long. That the internal compulsion, they have the external compulsion as well.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily indicate the building up of a kind of third alternative camp out there, which with the patronization of the United States. As long as India remains a member or a party to this kind of multilateral, this kind of patronization, this kind of, what I call the bid for expansion of influence or retaining influence would not work. Because India at the same time maintains very, very coded relationship, country like with Iran for that matter. We have a civilization links with Iran. So India would think twice, would be wary of, undermining its relationship or, with a country like Iran. So it has to play that balancing role while being a member of this kind of, a party to this kind of multilateral economic arrangement, be it, it's called the India-Middle East Economic Europe Economic Corridor or I2U2. India is absolutely wary about the likely consequences. So Indian diplomats, I'm sure, are well aware or conscious about the limitations because of the structural peculiarities which has been the characteristic feature of West Asia.
Right. Ambassador Sharma, I was asking Professor Mahapatra for his views or what he made of 2 new developments on the horizon for India and the UAE. And I was referring particularly to I2U2, India, Israel, UAE and the US on the one hand, and also the most recent development of phenomenon called the IMEC, India, West Asia, Europe Economic Corridor, that was signed on the margins of the 2023 G20 summit held in New Delhi. What do you make of these 2 new developments and how significant, are they? Would you say they're a game changer?
Well, both of these, actually, the first one, I2U2, was at a time which was seen a bit propitiously. And when India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and the US and Israel, they felt that they can work together to move forward from leaving behind the trail of conflict and tensions and bloodshed. And that was a time 2 years back when this thing was agreed, and there were a lot of hope invested. And there is still a lot of substantive ground for that, as has been explained by the professor. But the present political situation and tensions in the Middle East have suddenly cast a spell on it. The other thing, the India-Europe corridor, it is again another visionary thing, because the sea transport in the Gulf has come for a number of negative attacks and sea piracy and also terror attacks. So an alternative route through land transport, so through Arabia, like through Saudi Arabia, if we can develop a land transport, and then we land up in Dubai and then connect all the way to Haifa, that could be a land transport arrangement. And it could then, it might be faster depending upon the facilities, and it might be one way to overcome the obstructions which are there for shipping in the Gulf, and at least some aspects of the Gulf and the Red Sea. So, so I think there is this kind of vision, and then the readiness of Saudi Arabia to contribute to this, and the readiness of UAE to see the advantage of this exercise. And so this will actually be connecting India all the way Mumbai to all the way to Haifa and then to Europe.
Right.
So this is our way of looking at things, where we steer clear of tension and conflict and the pitfalls of sea piracy, terrorism, etc. So. And that's why it was instantly agreed, was signed. And again, at this meeting also, there is a push given to this, despite the kind of dark shadows which are there, in, at least we feel temporarily, we hope it is temporary, on the Middle East.
Right. Ambassador Sharma, Professor Mahapatra, do stay on. I'll come back to you momentarily. Let me pull up some more news for our viewers. As we told you a short while back about Indian Prime Minister